everyone. Sunday morning, drizzly day, rainy day, overcast day. It's a West Ham Orange channel. It's the West Ham, the final word show. What a day yesterday. What a day. London derby. Yeah, you kind of know what's gone on. We lost 3-0 to Chelsea. That's played 5, 1-1, drawn 1, lost 3. And like I said, if it wasn't for that Danny Ings last minute injury time equaliser at Fulham, it would have been 1 win, 4 defeats, really. Not a good start to the season in so many ways. Very interesting listening to different opinions on different channels, different sets of fans. Really interesting, and respect all of those views. So I just wanted to talk about a few things, reflect on a few things, and start off, before I really get into it. A lot of people coming out with "we didn't want Lopetegui," or "we didn't want that player," or anything like that. Really, I don't think a lot of those guys, as far as I know, that's the truth with a lot of these people. My position has always been, as a fan, that I'm not a scout, I'm not an expert, I don't see things the way they do, I don't have the tools. I'm a West Ham fan, I'm a football fan. When we are linked with any player, we sign them, I'm very happy, right? I don't really go as far to say I didn't want him, I don't want him, he's going to be shit, he's going to be good. I really don't know. Maybe I used to in the past, but I don't. What I am happy about is when we're actively out there recruiting. I like that. I like signing players, right? I like that. But I don't think I've really gone at it to say I didn't want a certain player, or a certain player is going to be shit before he starts his career. And equally with Lopetegui, equally with a lot of the players we sign, we don't really, rarely will we say, like, imagine it's May, right? And does any fan have that much knowledge to say, oh, Somerville's really good at Leeds, perhaps we should look at him in that left wing position? Or has anyone thought about one of the other players, for example, like Kilman? Did someone really know that? Yeah, let's go and get Kilman. I think he'll be. We don't have that much knowledge because we don't have time. Apart from following West Ham, we don't. I couldn't tell you who's the 5 championship players to buy. I couldn't. I haven't got the time for that. I haven't got the time to watch the Italian league, the German league, the Brazilian. We do not know. What we do is, when we are linked, then some of us make an effort to do a quick stats check, like I do. That this is his age, this is how he plays, this is how he fits in, this is the team lineup. So maybe he'll do a similar thing in our team. And I'm really happy that we're going out to sign him, because normally when we sign these players, they've had a very good season, right? But for some people to come out and perhaps say things like, oh, I told you Fulgrig was going to be shit, I told you Rodriguez was going to be shit, I don't think a lot of us know that. Very few do. And I will call out Frankie on that one, actually. A really good friend of mine. I haven't got to catch up with him, but he's one of the few I remember saying he's not sure about Rodriguez. And then some people were saying, oh, Frankie's part of the Argentina squad. And Frankie was saying, well, squad doesn't mean anything. And equally, Frankie had concerns about Fulkrig, saying not sure he's got the right movement for us. Right, yeah. So he's the only one I think was right on these two things, right? But apart from that, it's very easy for people to come out and say, I didn't want Lopetegui, I didn't want Fulkrig, I didn't want Rodriguez, blah blah blah, right? That's the thing I don't like, especially the Lopetegui thing, right? There's a few channels out there acting smart, saying we didn't want him. That's not on, because when David Moyes first came in, I was the only one who said I want him in. Everyone's like, no, he's shit. Then they shut up, and then they kind of went neutral at the end, because overall his record wasn't that bad compared to the previous managers, right? So when Lopetegui came in, I didn't earmark him to be the next West Ham manager. June, July. I didn't. He wasn't on my list. I didn't know. I spoke about 5 managers, I think. Going back to the previous season, I have a lot of love for Pochettino. Got a lot of love for Pochettino. I mentioned Unai Emery. Not saying that Emery would have come because he has turned West Ham down in the past, but I said let's just try. Because who really thought Emery's going to go to Villa? They were a non-European entity. They're not even in Europe. We were. So hats off to the Villa board for having the ambition to attract a manager that will only come to your club if you show the ambition, you explain the transfer budget, and you give him most of the reign in choosing and selecting players to buy. Critical thing that's not happening at West Ham, right? And then I obviously spoke about Fonseca, didn't I? That he was a very interesting candidate. We mentioned Almiron, didn't we? Sporting Lisbon. But you can't say now, oh, I wanted Almiron, because he was never going to come to West Ham. We don't have that ambition on board level. We have spent a lot of money, I get that, but we weren't going to give him the free reign in terms of selecting players. Because obviously it's very clear to us now that very easily blaming Lopetegui, and Lopetegui shares a huge blame in what's happened so far. Of course he does, but part of the story in terms of who to blame, there's other people involved, and we'll get into it. But before I get into it, I just want to make it clear, I don't like people acting smarty pants. Oh, I told you I didn't want him. I don't think these fucking people are that clear in saying it. So when people coming in, I don't think there's many that really know if it's going to work out or not. We trust the system. We trust Tim Stein. We trust Sullivan, well, in a way. And we trust Lopetegui, right? Max Kilman, I sat on the fence. I wasn't sure about him. But all I said was, I'm not excited. I'm not upset. And let's see what happens. And he's turned out to be one of the good ones, isn't it, so far? I know everything's up and down at the moment on the pitch. I know. But he's all right, isn't he? He's all right, and will be more than all right, I can tell, right? So we should just be honest with that. And for some people to, I didn't want Lope, well, I think you're not being genuine with yourselves, really. I don't think you're being genuine, really. But going back to who's to blame, going back to my morning show yesterday before the Chelsea game, it's very, very clear here. We got technical director. He's selecting 1/3 of the players, or half the players, or 40% of the players. The manager's selecting the other 25, 30, the other 15, 20, what's left. Sullivan's got a say in it. And I don't think that plan works. Chelsea are doing that model, but Chelsea's a freak model. They got billions. They got a squad of 60 players. It's a fucking mess, but they're getting there, right? But the way Chelsea have done it, it's not sustainable for other clubs. That we can't find youngsters every year, sell them for 100 million and waste money on a CDM partnership. Chelsea have got 220 million. So Chelsea got this sporting director, owners interfering, manager got fuck all to do with it. It's kind of working because they don't give a shit. But for most clubs, it ain't sustainable. It's not good because you're going to go through a lot of managers. Because I'm not sure about because then who do you blame? Right? So what's happened in West Ham on the pitch so far, tactics-wise, largely on the tactics side, Lopetegui's fucked up. He looks confused. He's trying to do too much too quickly. He's fidgeting with the formations. He's complete other side of Moyes. He's not even meet me in the middle. And this is what West Ham do, right? We ended up with Allardyce, and then we went to kind of the Bilic style, and then we went with a Pellegrini style, and there's bits of Pellegrini we can see the way we play at the moment. Everything's fucking open, trapdoors open at the back, and then we've kind of gone Moyes and Lopetegui. So David Moyes would never make any subs, hated signing players, hated changing formations, and now we've gone to a manager who's literally changing the formation game to game, half to half, making subs after half an hour. It's a complete shit show. But the other extreme version of it is, what the fuck do we do? Right? And yes, it does look at the moment that Lopetegui, it's going to be hard for him to come out of it, I think, because another couple of games and you can kiss fucking Europe goodbye this early, I think. because you look at the way Fulham are playing, mate. And I did tell you one thing that was definitely true. I said, I want Silva to be interviewed. That was on my record, and I said, listen, I'm not saying he's the answer, but I think Silva is worth talking to. Of course, he's flopped to one or two clubs. You're bound to. If you're a manager for 10 years, you've managed 5, 6 clubs, you're always going to flop at one or two. You're never going to smash it every club, right? And then there's obviously, he ain't won anything. Oh, we don't want a manager that ain't won anything. Fucking Pellegrini won a few things. Does that fucking matter? I don't care about shit like that. It's all about the DNA of the club. Does it match the DNA of the manager? That's largely what it's about, right? And Lopetegui has to share the main blame in what's happening to West Ham on the pitch. He hasn't got the tactics right. It's not happening. You can't defend like that game after game, leaving the trapdoor open, right? That's one story of it. The players have a lot to blame. The players have a lot to blame as well. Let me share a couple of quotes here as an example, right? This is Max Kilman's comments after yesterday. Kind of things they say. It was so bad, I didn't even think the West Ham players were trying from the first minute. They couldn't even be shit-arsed to track back, to run. Most of those goals, you saw Wan-Bissaka, he didn't even want to go past the halfway line to defend. Proper winger. That means we're playing with 3 defenders, right? Wing backs are meant to come back and help. He didn't give a fuck. Whether that was tactics from the manager, I don't give a shit. I don't want to know. I don't know. I can just tell you what I saw with my eyes. Wan-Bissaka just... And it's not the first game. He can't be asked to fucking defend, right? Mavropanos is a fucking joke now. Absolutely joke. But going back to this comment, this is the kind of shit we get, right? The players from the first minute couldn't be asked, right? What's he saying? Yeah, not good to be a goal behind. So we need to make sure we're much better than this. Really? Okay. Have a look at this comment after the Fulham game. We were really disappointed with how we performed and the results as well. And no such words. We need to do better. And then you got the Kilman one. So every time you fuck up and you know that certainly the application wasn't there, the effort wasn't there, whatever happened leading up to the game in training and warm-ups and build-up, it just weren't there. Excuse after excuse, right? If you were shit against Fulham and very fortunate to get a point, why were you even fucking worse yesterday at home? Tell me about it. I don't give a fuck about the international break. And you're professional athletes. You've got everything done for you. The club run around you. They pamper you. They give you everything. Free lunches, free flights, all the support you need. Your family lives are run brilliant. You got partners, your missus. They do everything at home. You don't have to do fuck all because you're professional athletes. Right? There's no excuses for not being prepared for that usually one day in the week. Right? We're not in Europe. Right? So the players are hugely to blame for application as well. Right? The other blame is Tim Steidten and Sullivan in recruitment. It's obvious the manager did not want Fulkrug, whether fit or not. It doesn't even look like it's gonna be successful. It doesn't look like it. Can't blame Lopetegui for that, right? You can't blame Lopetegui for Steidten and Sullivan not coughing up the extra 4 or 5 million for John Duran or someone similar to Duran's level, right? You can't. Todibo, it's blatantly obvious it's not Lopetegui. He's got that clause where I think if he plays 5, 6, 7, 8 games, it's going to kick in. We have to pay the 25, 30 million fee. It's going to trigger. There's no other reason for it. You play three centre-backs and there's no room for Todibo. Todibo's got pace. He's good on the ball. He's got a lot of good games about him. All of the Europe wanted him. It's blatantly. It doesn't make sense. That's not Lopetegui's fault, right? Somerville is Lopetegui's fault. He should have been brought in from day one as a star on the left wing, and I've been saying that 4-2-3-1, whether that's Fulkrug or Antonio, only one of them. I don't really want Antonio, but I don't Fulkrug. Let's see what happens. But you got to play 4-2-3-1 with Fulkrug or Antonio if you really have to. I don't want Bone up front. I've said that. I don't want Bowen up front. Then the back three will be, the three behind will be Bowen, Kudos and Somerville. I've said that from the Villa game. I've said that from day one. Then the two holding players, I said he's got to pick out Paqueta, Alvarez, and now I've got Carlos Sommer coming in, so it's one of them, right? And Souček, use him as a sub. I didn't want Ward-Prowse going on loan. He would have been a very, very good sub, so I don't really agree with that. And then the back four is obviously Wan-Bissaka, Emerson, Todibo, Kilman, right? But we're just not doing that. We're just playing weird formations. So largely the manager's at fault, but a large blame on recruitment, I feel, because Guilherme as well. That's not Lopetegui. So you can't blame Lopetegui. He's got a lot of players through the door, Lopetegui, but a lot of it's been taken away from him. And like I mentioned, if you haven't got a striker at the club, once again, a fully functional, fit striker that's going to fit the West Ham system, then it's a big handicap for any manager to set up. It's just not going to work. Sticking wingers up there. Bowen was largely just all over the place yesterday. It's just not happening. He's not naturally... I know he's got a lot of goals in that position. It's the DNA. It's the finishing of a striker. You saw it yesterday. Some of you laugh at Jackson, but that was a striker. It's a striker's DNA of making the right runs, the right decisions, and that opens it all up for the rest of the team behind. It's a very, very important position, right? Really, really important. Chelsea fans are a pain in the arse as well. They're coming at like the Gooners, coming out with all kinds of shit. The same Chelsea fans were like, oh my God, some of the things they were saying against their own club literally a month ago. Didn't want the manager there, laughing at the Chelsea owners, and the same fuckers were being rude against West Ham yesterday on social media, calling us this, calling us that, and oh yeah, we are Chelsea, look what we do. I fucking hate fickle fans like that. Arsenal are the same, swearing at one of their players one week, next week, he's brilliant, fuck off. So I hate that kind of shit, really. But Lopetegui, is it going to work? Is it not? It's hard. It's hard, I think, for him. Yeah, we need a striker. He needs a striker. The clubs needs a striker. The players need a striker. The team needs a striker. It's very, very critical. So Europe 6, not at the moment, not for me. We're going to have to make do what we've got, but it's so critical. I would recommend to the board to go out to the free transfer market. Actually, I don't even think you can do it anymore. I think that deadline's gone, if I'm right. That deadline's gone. We've really got to recruit in January. We've got to get a striker in, even if he's just good enough till June to get us through those months. I don't know, but it's a bit of blame on everyone, really. And should we have bought Lopetegui in? Was he everyone's choice? But the choices these people have, fans have, they were never going to come to West Ham. So I don't know what choices they're talking about. It's a small window. You know Sullivan, he ain't going to get managers out of a contract. You know, I think Fonseca was definitely doable. I think he ended up in Milan. I can't remember, right? But it's the pull of the Premiership. You can get players and managers into West Ham away from traditional clubs like Juve, Milan. You largely can because of the money on offer, the Premier League, the challenge, the London lifestyle. You can do it. You can do it, right? But if you want to do it, right? So we'll see what happens. Who suffers? The fan suffers. It's not good, you know, because the way we got carved open yesterday was the same way happened in the first half, largely at Villa. It's happened large parts of the City game. First half of Palace, we were awful. Fulham game I haven't seen properly, but I heard we were largely shit anyway, right? I went to the Bournemouth Cup game and we were shit then as well. So it's not good. But what would I do as Lopetegui? I would go back to 4-2-3-1 because we don't have the sexy personnel to play this. Not many Premiership teams play 3-4-3. It's done in Spain a fair bit, in Italy a fair bit, not in the Premiership. 4-2-3-1, mate. I don't know what the politics are. Todibo, Kilman, Wan-Bissaka, Emerson, Areola. That's your flat back five. Two in the middle, holding. Pick two out of Carlos Soler, Alvarez or Paqueta. And Souček. Pick two out of those four. I don't give a fuck who they are. Rodriguez I don't want. Rodriguez is definitely not good enough. That's a big mistake, but he didn't cost a lot of money. so we'll just use him for the odd cup game. Pick the right two. Then the three are Bowen, Kudos, Somerville, and you've got to somehow patch up and play Fulgrig up there or Antonio for half a game. And I don't know what fucking happens after that, but next window, you got to buy a proper striker. And then tactics-wise, make sure all the departments are working close together. Bit like Moisey, closing off the spaces, defend as a team, attack as a team, and then just begin to get respectable results. Stop the way we're being carved open time and time again. It's getting embarrassing. I haven't seen a league table. I don't know, bottom 5, bottom 6, something like that. And then when you look at other teams like Fulham fucking blowing me away, have a look at the Fulham goals from yesterday. Fucking amazing football. Smith Rowe. I know Newcastle are struggling, but even then they've got great finishers like Barnes, people like that. Spurs had a good win yesterday. We play Brentford next. I think Weiss is injured, but check out Mbeumo. He's going to be signing for Liverpool next year. I think that man's fucking on fire. Right, so there's a lot of clubs we can see in envy who perhaps haven't got the money we've got, but they're playing in a great way. Chelsea are finally clicking. Liverpool had a really good day yesterday. United up and down, but yeah, we're falling behind a lot of the teams really. So that was kind of my feelings. Where stop acting smart. Some of you out there who clever clubs didn't really commit to say it, but now say, I didn't want Lopetegui. He weren't my first choice. I didn't want that player. I knew he was going to be shit. We don't really know. There's only one or two few people that said it at the time. It's on record. I mentioned you who they are. But the majority of the people yesterday giving it large, they didn't give it large when Lopetegui came in largely, right? And if they did, they were mentioning managers that were never credible to come into West Ham. I could have said, I wanted Klopp. I told you I wanted Klopp. What the fuck does that mean? He ain't going to come to us, right? So just speak the facts. And the facts are that, the manager is to blame largely for what's going on, what I explained. But Tim Steighton's got to blame in this. Sullivan's got to blame in this. Sullivan brought Lopetegui in. And a few of those players in key positions are not Lopetegui's players, right? So he hasn't got all the weapons and instruments to hand to do the job fully. That's just a coach. So what the fuck? He took the job according to that Manta, whatever it is, right? And the players are to blame as well. There's a few things that's fucking out of order what they were doing, right? So Lopetegui, will he be successful? I was happy to see him, and once he became West Ham manager, I backed him. I liked him. So let's see what happens. It's not looking good at the moment, but like I said, let's see what happens. You can see the fixtures at the bottom. Got Liverpool away, Brentford away, Ipswich at home, Spurs away. It doesn't get any easier. It won't get any easier on the manager. It won't get any easier on the atmosphere, the pressure of managing West Ham. Let's see what happens. Any further than that, if something does go really bad and we need a new manager, I haven't looked that further down the line of who's available. I haven't had time to do that. I hate doing things like that. I leave that to the board to look for managers. And if there are managers that we're being linked with, they're looking to speak to them. If it gets that bad, then I'll talk about them on the program. But like I said, I'm not acting clever, clogs. I can't tell you of a magic striker in the Italian league that'll come to West Ham that'll fix all our problems. I'm not that much of a smart ass. I don't have time to do that. I'm not a scout. That's it, really. So you guys have a good Sunday. It's a Sunday to contemplate and be realistic. Of course, I'm worried. Let's see what happens.